What's up, guys? You've reached Real Life and Law, and this is our counseling sessions at 9:30 or thereabouts, between 9:30 and 10, but I try to get it to 9:30. We do counseling. I am a certified addiction counselor. My daughter owns a clinic, and we both do the counseling for the patients. We try to have us some fun so you can participate a little bit, ask a few questions if you're looking in on me in these other platforms. I have a sub, I'm running across three platforms. So, guys, if you have a question, let it rip. And you all can ask a question. But we're going to talk about words today. Words make a big difference, but this is a little different kind of word game. It's a game. I always try to uh, educate people through words and language when we're in recovery. And so we're going to kind of review some of the things that you should be going over in a good recovery class, some definitions. And this is the way I'm going to do this, and y'all got to pay attention. I'm going to take a word, and one by one, I'm going to give you a letter for that word. I'm going to give you a letter. I'm going to give you another letter. And when someone thinks they have the answer to the word that I'm talking about, chime up and let me know. Let me know if you think you've got the right word. All right. So I've never done this on these platforms before. I do it a lot. There's a lot of games that I play with my group when I'm live in person, and all the clients like it. So, having said that, let's start with the first word. All right. The first word, there are 8 letters. 8 letters in this word. It's one word. Now we've got a couple of them that are 2 words, but this is one word, 8 letters. Let me make sure. Eight. That's right. 8 letters in this one word. Now, all of these words have some relationship to our clinic or to a clinic or to recovery. So they all have some kind of relation. So if you're in the chat only, thank you. Subs only, you're the only ones that can respond. If you are not, then consider a subscription. All right. So the first letter is Y. Y. That is the first letter. Now, if you think you know it, chime in. Let's see if we got it. The second letter is a R. R. So we have Y and R. Second letter, R. The next letter is, there are 2 of these. So this is the first one. It's an A. A. So we have R, Y, and A. 3 letters. Again, there are 8 letters in this word. So we have R, Y, and A. Feel free to tell me what you think the word is. P is the next letter. P. P is in Paul. Not a T, but a P is in Paul. So we have a P. We have a Y. And these are not in any particular order. A P, a Y, an A, an R. The next letter, this might be the one that will tell you what the word is. H. The next letter is H. Now, I will give these in order now as the way they appear in the word. Kind of give you another little clue. I scattered them out. The first few I scattered out just so that you didn't know, but I'm going to put these in order. Now, there may be gaps between these letters, but I'm going to give you the letters in order right now. We have a P, we have an H, we have an R, we have an A, and we have a Y. P-H-R-A-Y. If you know what it is, let me know. If you know what it is, let me know. I'm going to give you the other A. The second A. I told you there were two of them. This is the second one. So it's P-H-A. Way to go, Jennifer. All right, it works. Good job, Jennifer. Good job, Jennifer. Way to go, baby. Pharmacy was the word. P-H-A-R-M-A-C-Y. Good job, Jennifer. Guys, y'all slacking. Jen got it. Good job, baby. All right. So we all know what pharmacy is. Pharmacy is a place where you get your medications. Pharmacies nowadays are all linked in. Most of them are linked in. They're all linked. In each state, there's a network. It is hard for you nowadays. It is virtually impossible for you to doctor shop. Some pharmacies, some states are better than others, but like in Kentucky, if you go to a clinic, they will pull your report and find out every pharmacy you go to. Every pharmacy you go to will be on a report. And which is really helpful to the doctor, because there are a lot of clients that go through, and used to be in the old days before we had these big complicated networks now, which are good. Before we had those, people would go to different doctors. That's how you had that issue with the opioid issue. It occurred because the pharmacies weren't networked. If you went to one pharmacy in one part of the state, or maybe even in another state, you would go to another pharmacy, and none of the pharmacies would know that you were getting certain medications. It's really, really bad. It was the wild, wild west until these state laws started coming into being, and then they started developing these network of pharmacies to where a provider could run your record and find out what other medications you're getting. And I think that leads to a better standard of care. So you got to be really careful. It ain't like it was 25 years ago or 20 years ago even. And as a tip, I've seen this happen a lot. Go to one pharmacy. It's silly. It's absolutely silly to go to more than one pharmacy. It always causes confusion. And that's a sign. Whenever we see in our clinic someone going to 2 or 3 different pharmacies, that's a sign that there might be some funny business going on. And that's what the police will look at. That's what a prosecutor, I used to prosecute. And when I saw that someone had different medications from different pharmacies, that was never a good idea. Or different doctors. Now, I do understand different doctors for specialists and things, but a pharmacy, you should go to one pharmacy. Makes it easy for you. That way you don't have to run around like you're on a daggone hamster wheel. So pharmacy, good job, Jennifer. Woohoo, baby. Now we've got the hang of it. So let's look, guys, and thank you if you're looking in on me on the YT. Thank you. And FB, thank you. We are playing, I call it reverse hangman. I'm giving you the letters. It's kind of like a Wheel of Fortune. I'm giving you the letters. You tell me what the word is. Every word is related to treatment or a clinic, substance use. All right, so let's look at the second word, guys. Here we go. Second word. So that's a little bit about pharmacy. And you all guys, if you're in the sub only, you feel free to chat. All right. The next word has 9. 9 letters. Next word, 9 letters. Let's start out with N. Now, these are in no particular order. At some point, I'll put them in order. No particular order. N. Got an N. N is in Nancy. N for Nancy. Y'all got that? The next letter is C as in cat. C as in cat. N as in Nancy. C as in cat. Again, 9 letters in this word, guys. 9 letters. Let's do I. I. The letter I. So we have I, N, and C. I, N, and C. This is a big word. Big topic. Got to get your thinking cap on. I, N, and C. So this letter, there are 2 of them. What's up, Deborah? This letter, there's 2 of them. I'm going to give you the first one. D. D as in dog. D as in dog. The first D. So now we have a N, a D, a I, and a no, Jennifer. How do you get narcotic out of that? Someone said narcotic. Honestly, how do you get that? I gave you a N, a C, a D, and an I. Come on. Put your thinking hat on. The next letter. Listen now. The next letter is an A. A. So we have, and these are in no particular order. A, N, a C, an I, and a D. There are 2 D's. This is the first D. I know? No? No? The next letter is an O. So an O. So I'm going to give these letters to you in order as they appear on my sheet. There could be gaps between the letters that I'm giving you. So be mindful of that. Jennifer, baby. Yeah, baby. Jennifer is smoking today. Good job, Jennifer, in the chat. ADDICTION. Addiction. So somebody want to tell me what addiction is. So let me make it question a little easier. There are 2 components to addiction. 2 components to addiction. Anybody know what they are? There are 2 components. In order to be classified as addiction, you need 2 things to be present. 2 things. Anybody know? Anybody know? Two things. Addiction. All addicted people have these two things in common. In order to become diagnosed or classified, labeled as addiction, addiction affects the mind and the body. Now, you can, and this is how this is important. You can be dependent on a substance, but not be addicted to the substance. Addiction largely refers to the mental aspect of the disease. You can be dependent on a medication, you can be dependent on a substance, but to be addicted is the mental component. That's the one that causes you the most trouble. When you are dependent on a medication, you can generally fix that issue after a certain period of time and maybe with some other treatment methods. But to be clean from a substance, to be physically clean from a substance, anywhere between 7 to 15 days, generally, that will clean you. But the mental aspect of the addiction is what takes the longest. Once you become to a level of addiction whereby you are mentally tied to that substance, that takes a long, long, long time. It's above what's sitting on top of your shoulders takes the longest time to fix. Your body can be clean from the dependence, in a short time. But the head is what takes you most of the time to get clear. So addiction it's a real thing. It is a disease. I used to when I first, and I've been doing addiction recovery for a long, long time, since 1985, probably before most of y'all was born. And I used to kind of struggle with the thought that it was a disease. I used to struggle with that. I used to did not believe it was a true disease. But then when you get to looking at the markers of a chronic disease, if you look at the markers, just the markers of what a chronic disease is, you're going to see certain factors that are all consistent among chronic diseases. They're lifelong. A chronic disease is something that is lifelong. It's not acute. If you have an acute illness, it's short term. Chronic is long term, lifelong in a lot of cases. So chronic means long term. And in addiction, I like to recognize it as lifelong. So it's chronic, it's progressive. One of the other markers of a chronic disease is that it is progressive. Lifelong, it's progressive. That means it gets worse over time. The other marker, that's a big one, it will cause you to, I gotta be careful with the social media. They don't like some of these words, but you will not be here. It will cause you to expire sooner or later if you don't get treatment. So chronic diseases are progressive. They get worse over time. If you don't get treatment, you are likely to not be here if you don't get treatment. Even if you get treatment, it is likely to cause you not to be around anymore, even if you get treatment. But absolutely, for sure, if you have a chronic illness and you don't seek treatment, it will get you sooner than later. And so the thing about addiction treatment is to try to get you the skills so that you can live a good full life and hopefully extend your life. I mean, the data is fairly clear. If you don't get treatment for your substance use issues, you're not going to live as long as your counterpart. If all things are equal and you have that in your life, you're not going to live as long as the other person, as the average person. You're not. You, you will pass away. Thank you very much. I got a chat from, hold on, where did my chat go? I think that might have been from the YT. Thank you very much for that. You're going to pass away sooner than later. I mean, that's just a fact of it. The studies show, this is the way the studies break down. If you seek treatment, no matter if it's coerced or if you wake up one day and you just say, I'm tired of being sick and tired, either way, if it's coerced by a court, if it's coerced by a family member, or if you just decide to get yourself some treatment, you have a 66% likelihood of recovering from that substance. Now, and I have a different definition of recovery. Recovery means, it doesn't mean that you're going to be totally sober or clear. Now, and this is tricky, so I'm just going to tell you what the data shows. In that 66% of the time, and this is a rough number, it's a round number, in that 66 where they call they're successfully recovered, about half of those people quit, never do it again. They don't do it. And the other half find a way to do it and not cause a problem to society, themselves, or their family. That's what the data show. The data show that they're no longer, about 30% of them are no longer in trouble with the law. They're no longer in trouble at their workplace. They're no longer in trouble with the family. So, but in total, if you get treatment, the chances of you realizing a recovery to the degree that you're able to live your life is about 66%. About a third of the people, 30 to 35% of the people that are addicted will pass away from that addiction, either directly or indirectly. The substance will get them, or they'll do something stupid while they're involved with that substance that will cause them not to be around. So addiction's a real thing. It's chronic. It is chronic. And so let me explain to further emphasize the point of a chronic illness, because I still see people in this day and age say that they think they can be cured. Well, you can't be. Once you're addicted, you can't be cured. You can manage it, you can maintain it, but I don't think you're ever cured. And so this is the way I look at it. It's a chronic illness. You have to buy into the thought that it's chronic. If you don't buy into the fact that what you have is a lifelong problem, then you'll never fix it, right? You'll never be on the road. And this is how you know. Diabetes is a chronic illness. It's lifelong. I'm talking type 2. It's lifelong. It gets worse over time. And if you don't treat it, it will destroy you. Heart disease is lifelong. It's chronic. It's lifelong. It's progressive. If you don't do stuff to change your behavior, it's progressive. It will get worse over time if you don't get it treated. If you don't engage in a good diet program, if you don't engage in a good activity, exercise program, your heart will get progressively worse. It is a chronic disease. Addiction is the same thing. You would not dare think about telling your granny that maybe your granny has diabetes. You would not dare think about waking your granny up in the morning and saying, hey, Granny, let's me and you go. Now, Granny, I know you've got this diabetes thing going on. I know you've got it. You've had it for years. But let's try something, Granny. Get your clothes on. We're gonna go out to the park. We're gonna have us a good day, and we're gonna pack us a lunch. We'll pack some. You made some of that catfish yesterday. Let's get us a big old plate of catfish. Let's get us a big old apple pie, because you made apple pie too, Granny. I know you didn't have any of it, but I ate some. And we're going to take that apple pie. Me and you going to have a good day, and we're going to eat this fish. We're going to have some big old piece of pumpkin pie. And by the way, Granny, I got to thinking, I don't think you need that medicine. I think you're okay. I think that chronic disease thing, this lifelong, I've been watching you, Granny, and you've done pretty good. I think maybe you can skip a dose of that medicine. Come on, Granny. That diabetes. I think you're good. Who would do that to their granny? You wouldn't do that. Is the answer to that. You wouldn't do it because you believe that diabetes is a chronic, lifelong problem that requires treatment. Everyone knows that about diabetes. You have to get it treated. You have to stay on a regimen. And what I call by a regimen, that is treatment. A lifestyle is part of the treatment. You'd never think about doing a relative that way. Never. So why would you do that to someone that's got substance use issue? Oh, let's go out to the club. You could do just one. We just go out. You just wouldn't do it. So you have to buy into the fact that the addiction is a chronic disorder. If you don't buy into it, that you need to be treated, just like the diabetes person, just like the person with heart disease. I have kidney disease. I get treatment every day. I take medicine every day. I have a regimen that I follow every day, and it keeps me healthy. I have chronic kidney disease. There's no damn doubt about it. When I was younger, when I was first diagnosed and I had my kidney transplant, it took me a while to wrap my head around the fact that I had a chronic disease. Even after I had my transplant, I thought maybe in my brain I was cured. And this is how I thought it. I didn't pay it respect. I didn't pay my medicine respect. I didn't pay the regimen any respect. I would get out in the middle, and I was in my early 30s. I would get out and I would play basketball, and I'd forget to take my medicine. I'd get out and do rough sports, and that kidney's in my belly. I never respected the disease. And so therefore, I never treated it with respect. I never did what I needed to do early on. And every now and then, I'd get a little old cold slap in the face when I'd have to go to the doctor, and they'd say, boy, you better pick it up. It took a while for me to figure out that I had a chronic disease. I mean, I knew it. Intellectually, I heard it. I heard the doctors tell me. But in my brain, it took 4 or 5 years before I understood it. So addiction's a real thing. Addiction is a chronic, I believe this. It's a chronic, lifelong disorder. If you do not get treated, it will consume you sooner than later. So there we go with addiction. Guys, if y'all have any questions, you can pipe up and ask them. In the chat, guys, if you're in the YT or the FB, my name is Eugene. I am an addiction counselor. I'm also an attorney. I do a lot of work, do automobile accidents. I'm going to give a plug. 20% on an automobile accident. I'm also doing some work with the Mark Lanier Law Firm, guys. If you're in the chat, if you've got asbestos-related cancer, if you've been diagnosed with mesothelioma, if you've got a family member that's been diagnosed, silicosis, been working around rock dust, holler at me. We can make a difference in your life. I promise you. If you've been taking Wegovy or Ozempic, talking about disease, obesity is a horrible lifelong disease. Once you've developed an eating disorder, it's the same thing. It is a lifelong struggle. Most people do not appreciate the fact that it is a chronic illness. Obesity is a chronic illness. I don't give a damn what anybody says. There's ways to treat it. But unless you understand that it's a chronic illness and it requires a complete overhaul of your lifestyle, just like any other problem, then you're going to be constantly roller coaster, on, off, just like a lot of people are. Addiction is a disease. They call it a disease of relapse, a disease of failure, because people constantly on and off the wagon, on and off the wagon, because they don't respect the fact that it is a chronic illness. So Wegovy or Ozempic, if you've been taking that and you notice that your vision's bad, holler at me. The Mark Lanier Law Firm and myself can help you put a team together and get you every penny you're entitled to get. Get yourself diagnosed. If you've been taking Wegovy, ask them to check you for Nion. If you work around a lot of rock dust exposure, get yourself checked and have your pulmonologist, your lung doctor, check you for silicosis. And heaven forbid, if you get diagnosed with some type of asbestos related cancer, get you on a regimen and then holler at me. If you know anybody impacted by those things, give me a call. You can see my numbers. They're available. You can always send me a message. All right, guys, sorry for the commercial, but I feel the need to do that. All right, the next word, and by the way, guys, I am a certified addiction counselor. I'm actually a certified teacher. I have a master's degree in counseling. Been doing this a long time, and I love it. This is one of the things I like doing. All right, next word, guys. Next word. Ten letters. 10 letters. 10. 10. The first letter is a G. First letter G. And again, all these words are associated in some level to treatment and recovery from substances. G, the first letter. N, two letters, two of these, two in as in, good God, Jennifer. Holy God, baby. Jennifer, good grief. Counseling. Boy, you need to be on Wheel of Fortune. I'm just telling you. Counseling was the word. Thank you, Jennifer. Jennifer's in the chat. Jennifer got it with one letter. Oh my God. COUNSELING. Counseling. Let's talk about counseling. One of my favorite things to talk about. Good job, Jennifer. Boy, guys, if you're in the chat, say hi. Let me know you're here. So let's talk a little bit about counseling. There are a couple different types of counseling. We're familiar with two types, outpatient and inpatient, right? Those are the two basic types. And there's branches off of some of these, but I'm just going to talk in big generic terms. First off, self-help groups are not counseling. People make that mistake. When you go to your AA or your NA group, that is not counseling. I can't stress that enough. It's not counseling. Counseling, AA or NA groups or any of those are called support group. There's a group called, and I really like it, it's called SMART, SMART, Smart Recovery. Really, really good. They have a good curricula. It's curricula driven, and I really like it. So self-help is not treatment. It's not counseling. It's support. It's a bunch of people getting together, sharing ideas. There's no real work as far as technique, counseling technique goes on. It's more about people getting together It's more of a spiritual thing, and a lot of these recovery groups are spiritually based. And you just go and emote. You talk about your feelings. You listen. You share tips, recovery tips. That's, again, they're a little more involved than that, but that's my experience. That's what I've seen. That's why most groups are operated. Most self-help support groups. It is not counseling. Counseling is usually done by a professional, a qualified professional that has been educated on the disease of addiction. Unless they're educated on the disease of addiction, they're probably just someone up there talking about the good old days. You've got to understand what addiction is, because there's different definite techniques to recovery when you're in counseling. Counseling is usually led by one person who is schooled, educated, trained in recovery. I tend to like counseling groups that are curricula driven, where you're getting information, you're learning skills. You go to counseling to learn skills. Treatment, it's a different kind. Treatment, counseling is usually done when you enroll in a treatment program. So there's a couple of different types of treatment programs. You've got inpatient, as I said, and outpatient. Inpatient treatment programs are usually reserved to people who are using substances that are hazardous to withdraw from. That's where an inpatient, a detox, usually a detox is first, then you do an inpatient. Inpatient, another marker for inpatient is used for people who have no support system at home. Generally, inpatient is for someone who has tried several times on their own, 2 or 3 times, tried on their own to kick the habit and are unable to, mostly because the people they live with or the people they choose to surround themselves with are not helping them. There's no support there. So in that situation, you should go to an inpatient facility. Inpatient. You should probably go to detox first, then go to inpatient. Because in inpatient, it gives you're isolated, you're focused exclusively on skill building, and you get your head clear. You get used to be 30 days was the marker for an inpatient treatment. I just don't think, if you have a 1 or a 2 year habit, 30 days isn't even near enough. 90 days is a good start. 90 days of inpatient treatment. If you have no support system, now, if you've got a good support system, you might be able to try a time or two on your own. But if you've already done that, you've tried it, you might want to find a good inpatient treatment facility. And if you really have a crappy household and you're surrounded by people who are not getting with the program, you may want to try to find a facility that's 6 months. Some programs will do a 90-day and then they'll step down or transition you into another part of their facility where you can get a job. You can start putting pieces together of your life. So long-term treatment sometimes is your only option if you've tried several times on outpatient and if you have a crappy home life. And if you're an adult, I will suggest to you, you're in control of that home life. At some point in your treatment, you have to understand that you may have to get rid of these people so that way you can enjoy recovery. If you don't, you're going to be roller coastering the whole time. So the other part of treatment is outpatient counseling, which is what this is. This is outpatient. Generally, outpatient is at least 2 to 3 times a month. You have individual outpatient and you have group outpatient. This is group. I personally like individual about once a month, and then I'm heavier into intensive group. I like more groups, less individual. Individual counseling should be once a month for kind of a debriefing when you really want to talk to that person and they can say to you things that maybe they're not comfortable saying in a group. That is what I particularly like to use individual for. It's not psychotherapy. We're not doing psychotherapy in an addiction recovery group. We're not talking about your mama or your daddy. We're really trying to really get to the issues, try to problem solve. Okay. So those are the basic types of counseling. Good job, Jennifer. Man, she has got it. She's 3 for 3, baby. Guys, let's get to the next one. Thank you, fellas, for showing up. Listen, I'm going to be doing this. If you're on my YT or my FB, tell your friends I'm going to be doing this every Wednesday. I try to do it every Wednesday. If you're on TT, you already know this. Every Wednesday around 9:30-ish. I'm starting to launch a new program to where I'll have everybody in a box. I'll have 15 people. We'll actually have class. We'll have homework, and it will be an interactive. It'll be interactive. You'll get homework, and I'm going to bust your chops if you don't do the homework. We're going to hold everybody to accountable, to a certain level of accountability. So if you're really looking for a good group, someplace to get you some information, maybe this works really good if you are involved with someone who has an issue with substances. You can educate yourself, figure out, at least from my perspective, what this whole thing is about, what recovery is about, and what the process of addiction is. So, and how to develop and build you a good treatment plan. All right, guys, thank you very much. So boy, Jennifer, I'm telling you, baby, you are smoking it. All right, now two words on this one. 2 words. The first word, 4 letters. The second word is 4 letters. 2 4-letter words. So you're going to have to, if you're doing this on a piece of paper, you want to get 4 slots and 4 slots. Okay. Now, in the first word, I'm going to give you a letter E. I'll give you a vowel. Come on, Vanna, turn that vowel over. E. Holy shit, Renee. Good grief. And Renee got it. Self-help, guys. Good job, Renee. Self, S-E-L-F, as in Frank, H-E-L-P as in Paul. Self-help. Now, I already talked about self-help. Self-help is not counseling, it's support. It is support. A lot of times, if your family is not familiar with treatment, and I see this a lot with families because they're ignorant about it and they're afraid of it. They've never educated themselves. They never had to be educated on it. But they will get someone out of a rehab. This is very common. They'll get someone out of a rehab or out of detox even. They'll get their loved one out of rehab, out of detox, or maybe out of a 30 or a 90-day program. They'll bring them back home and they'll put them into a self-help group instead of a counseling group. Or they won't do that at all. They won't do anything. And they'll in their brain think, okay, we've got them some help, and now they're back home and they look to be good. They look okay, right? And in fact, for a brief period of time when they come back home, if they don't get involved in any kind of counseling, for sure counseling, And for sure, a self-help program. If they don't get involved in any one of these, it's just a short time before they are unwell again. The problem isn't fixed after 3 days of detox or 7 days of detox or 30 or 90 days of a treatment program, not even 6 months. But you get a lot of parents who desperately want their loved one to be okay. And they've not educated themselves, and they don't know that this is a lifelong deal. And when they come home from those treatment places, they think they're good, and they're not. If you, and this is a tip of the day about a treatment facility. If you're going into any kind of a treatment facility, you want to ask them when you interview these programs, or if you're looking into this, if you're looking into a treatment program on behalf of a loved one, you're going to want to ask what their aftercare program is like. What type of aftercare will they help you build before they turn you loose? If a treatment facility does not provide you with information on aftercare, it's a crappy program, because you cannot have you can't even have a good chance at recovery if you're not involved in an aftercare program. Self-help is part of an aftercare program. It's not counseling, but it's better than nothing. So, and I recommend 3 times a month at least when you first come out of a facility for about 6 months. 3 times a week, or 3 times a month for 6 months. 3 times a month for about 6 months. That's a minimum. And then you should have developed you a mentor. Get you someone that you can call at a moment's notice in case you get a little shaky. That's the bare minimum. Any treatment program that you enroll in an inpatient treatment program, if they do not focus on aftercare, if they do not give you a good solid aftercare plan, it's probably not a good program, because that's all part of it. Good job there, Renee. Good job. All right. So we're almost done. Got 2 more here, fellas. This is a good one. This one has 8 letters. 8, 8, 8, right before 9. 8 letters. First letter, S. No particular order. S. S is the first letter. I. I is the second letter. R. R is the third letter. Nope. Not Jennifer. Missed that one. That's not it, Jennifer. R. There's an S in there, Jennifer. Come on, baby. Where's the S in narcotic? Come on. No. Listen. 8 letters. S, R, and I. S, R, no particular order. Oh, there are 2 R's, by the way. 2 R's, by the way. The next letter, and there are 2 of these. G. G. I. S. R. and G. I, S, R, and G. I, S, R, and G. 8 letters. Good job, Renee. I was figuring someone would get that. Good job, Renee. Triggers. Triggers. Going Triggers. Triggers. All right. So triggers, fellas. Trigger. Plain and simple, a trigger is anything that initiates a response to use a substance. There isn't just one trigger, and no one knows. Honestly, a lot of people, the hardest thing to understand when people come into recovery is the first thing is you've got to understand what your triggers are. Some people do not even know, but generally your triggers are going to come from people, places, and things. Those are going to be the central part of any trigger. It's going to come from a person, a place, or a thing. That's that simple. But it could be anything. It literally could be anything. I had a client who said their trigger was cash, which was odd to me when I first heard it. It didn't make sense to me. Why? Because I talked to my clients about budgeting, and I talked to them about, budgeting and keeping just enough cash around for bills. Cash was a big trigger for them because every time they had cash in their hands, it brought upon them a sense that they were going to go use that cash to purchase a substance. It's alarming, right? They said it's hard for me to keep cash. So when digital, and this has been 10 years ago, digital money, having a bank card and all that was just becoming into the forefront. So we developed a plan to where, first off, they never got their paycheck in cash. It was electronically deposited and they had a card. Because listen to this, what kind of dealer is going to use a bank card? I don't know any that do. I mean, I'm networked in. I used to understand, and I used to know a lot of them. I used to prosecute them as a prosecutor. They deal in greenback. So cash was a trigger for this person. And one of the saddest triggers I've ever heard someone tell me about was a guitar. Guitar. You're playing a guitar. This fella had came into my clinic after about a 25-year substance use issue. And when he finally got clean, he said, the hardest thing for me to do was to put down my guitar. Guitar was part of his life. He had played guitar since he's 4 years old. But that guitar was so closely associated with his using patterns and all of his swarping and all of his other buddies. He said every time he picked up a guitar, he got nervous. Very sad. That was a part of his life. And he had to give up a part of his life. It's very sad. I felt bad for him. But he did it. He said, I got rid of them all. He said that, every now and then I get the urge to want to play, but I understand when I pick up that guitar, the urge to use will get much stronger. And so I don't even go there anymore. And that's what you have to do. He made a sacrifice, a big sacrifice. You have to be willing to make those types of sacrifices. And I say this a lot, and I'm not being blasphemous. If Jesus Christ surrounded himself by the paraphernalia of substance use, I just think it'd be hard to resist that temptation. I just think that. Maybe that's a little extreme, but I think that. When you surround yourself by all of the implements and the triggers, when you surround yourself by triggers, when you're constantly faced with the signals coming into your brain that encourage you to use. It is a powerful thing. So most of your triggers are coming from your people, your places, and things from that world that you created, which made it easier for you to become addicted. Because you create your own world. You create a world full of people, places, and things that make it easier for you to use. I mean, that's what we all do, that even if we don't use. We create a world to make it easier for us to work. We create a world to make it easier for us to do our hobbies. Right? You create this world, you have memorabilia, you have friends that have all the same things in common. Fishermen hang out with fishermen. If you're a gearhead, you're hanging around gearheads. You know, that's common, that's normal. People with substance use problems create a world that the substance use is easier. It's easier. That is being smart. That's not being stupid. Humans are not inherently, although some of y'all might disagree, humans are not inherently stupid. We're very clever. We're adaptive. We know what we like, and we develop and we start building a world to help us get what we like, to make ourselves comfortable. That's what every human does. Animals do that. Animals create for themselves a world to make themselves comfortable so that they can get what they want and get what they need. Humans, same thing. So if you're in the substance use world, you create this world that makes it easier for you to use. It's simple. It's easy. It makes sense. So triggers, most all your triggers are going to come from those three categories: people, places, and things. And it takes a while to understand what your triggers are. So let me give you a couple of biometrics that will let you know that you're danger, danger, Will Robinson, right? You should know. Got the robot on Lost in Space. Danger, that robot was always there telling Will when there was danger. And so most of you don't have that robot hanging around you, but you got the robot in your head and in your body and in your heart and in your stomach. And so some little biometrics. Your pulse rate will increase, heart rate, pulse. You're going to get nervous. You get a little shaky. Your mouth might start to water. Your stomach might start to flip around. Sweat. Those are all signs. Those are all trigger signs. Those are your body, even though you might have not thought about it, when you feel those, that overwhelming urge to use, your blood pressure, your pulse, you're sweating, you're nervous. All those are triggers. That's your body telling you something ain't right and you need to get away. Leave that environment. Step away, step back, take a breath, go somewhere, collect your thoughts. That's what that is. What a trigger is. What that's how you know. It's almost like a panic attack. I mean, it just comes on you. People literally have been walking down the street when I'm in counseling and I talk to people. They're just walking down the street and they get this urge, and they've not picked it up, but maybe that portion of town that they're going by, maybe they're seeing something that they don't fully recognize in their brain, but their subconscious brain is saying, holy shit, look at that. Look at that club over there. Look at that sign. Look at the, I mean, they come from nowhere. And once you have that, you need to take note of where you are, look around of what your environment is so you can take note and understand and develop what your triggers are. For some people, it's commercials on TV, it's shows. And so some people have to find different ways of going home because the triggers are so strong. So understand what your triggers are. It's a big deal in recovery, because if you don't understand them, they're going reach up and grab you by the ass. And that's not real good. So if you understand them, then you can at least mitigate. You can at least try to, you know, avoid them, which is the best way with avoidance. I'm not a big fan of facing your fear when it comes to triggers. I just don't think that works. I think avoidance is the best way. Just avoid them. And you can structure your life where you're not around them. And sometimes that's work. A lot of people have to quit work because the people and the culture, the work culture, they cannot work in that culture. Contractors, builders, most all of them cannot do any work unless they have a pain pill. They're very sad. That's how they work. And I've had many who have told me they had to quit because they could not be around that culture, because that's what the culture was. You know, you're pressed to do a lot of hard manual labor, and those medications help them. And so you got to understand what your triggers are. It's a big deal. Triggers are huge. If you don't understand what they are, you're going to be plagued by it. And you're always going to put yourself in a position. If you don't understand what they are, you're not going to be able to plan for them. So you really need to understand what they are so you can plan. Last word, guys. And I love this one. So this is an acronym. It's 4 letters. It's an acronym. And you get bonus points for telling me what this acronym stands for. This is one of my favorite acronyms. 4 letters. Number 1 is a T. No particular order. T. T, 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 T. T is in Tom. Guys, if you're looking in on me, thank you very much. We're just having fun. And if you're looking in on me and you're scrolling through, consider a subscription. We're doing this every Wednesday at about 9:30. So tell your friends. Our interactive platform will be coming up, I hope, soon. The next letter, in no particular order. Vanna. Can I have a vowel? Give me an A. Vanna is turning over an A. 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 As in apple. A and a T. Way to go, Vanna. 4 letters. We have an A and a T. The next one. This might get it. Someone might know what this is. H. Give me an H. A. T. Got 1 letter left. Anybody know what this is? H. A. T. Everybody know what the acronym is? Somebody, can I get a witness? What's up, Alexandra? I had to know. There's 1 more letter, Alexandra. 4 letters. Fill in the blank. H A T. Oh shit, Renee. Don't cheat. All right, since y'all can see my papers, come on, Renee. Sorry about that. I forgot the next letter. I wish someone would get it. You got to be quiet, Renee. If you were looking, be quiet. Someone else tell me what it is. Although you just told on yourself. I props for telling on yourself, Renee. H. Sorry. I've been talking too much. Oh God, that was funny. H A T. In that order, there's a space between H A blank T. That's the way they go. H A blank T. Somebody tell me it's an acronym. Thank you. I'm going to give it to you. L. L as in love. See, Anna, you're cheating too, Anna. Come on, Anna. Anna, halt. 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 Everybody but Anna, tell me what that stands for. It's an acronym. H HALT. Guys, if you're in the chat, thank you. Thank you, YT and FB. Guys, follow me, join in on Wednesdays. This is what we do. Guys, thank you for subscribing. Guys, tell your friends, subscribing, super fans. Good. Appreciate it. HALT. It's an acronym. And it has to do with relapse. Relapse. Well, halt means stop, right, Jennifer? Correct. But it's acronym HALT. They all stand for different words. They stand for, I'm going to give you another little clue. It is warning signs that relapse might be coming. Each one of these letters stand for something. Nobody know? I know Anna probably knows. I'm sure Anna knows. I hope she knows. If she does not, I'm taking her certificate away. Nobody know? All right. This is a good way for you to understand and kind of recognize what is happening in your world and in your Okay, Jennifer, did you look that up? Come on, Jennifer. Fess up, baby doll. Yes. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Whenever you are too much of any one of those things, whenever you are too hungry, too lonely, too angry, well, hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, too much of any one of those things, those should be warning signs that things aren't good. And that when things are not good, the tendency is to fall back on those substances that help right the ship. Hungry is easy to fix. Do not, and nourishment, physical nourishment, eating. When you're in your addiction phase, you have crappy eating habits. That's why you're skinny. That's why if you're in an opiate addiction, you're, you know, you look like a rack of bones. If you're a drinker, you probably put on a little extra body weight. You got that big beer belly. If you're, whatever the addiction is, you're when you're in addiction phase, you don't pay attention to your body. You're undernourished. And when you're extra hungry, that could be a signal that your body isn't right. You want to keep your body right. All this is about keeping your body hungry, angry, lonely, tired. All relates to the body, to how you are at any given moment. You should always assess how you're doing. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. When you get angry, angry is a huge emotion. Get mad, you get a little mad or a lot mad at your spouse, at your significant other, at the workplace. When you get mad and your emotions get all charged up, most people, if they're not careful, will begin to try to think about, well, I need something to calm down. Because until you learn real skills, you're going to fall back on that thing that you used to use to help you calm down. So if you know that, you should avoid becoming too angry. I'm not saying, because inherent in life is stress. Let's not confuse stress with anger. Although stress is a big warning sign to your body and to your mind that your recovery could be in jeopardy. But this acronym is really good. Hungry, angry, lonely is a big one. Lonely is big because, and I will tell you, when you're first in recovery, and I've said this before, but it bears repeating. When you're first in recovery, you are very lonely. Most of the time, if you're brand new in recovery, your significant other has left you. You've made a wreck of your life. If you have family, they're probably not around you. The people you used to use with are not around you because they're afraid of you. You haven't had contact with them in a while. They may be thinking you're working for the police. They're not around you. They're afraid of you. The world you had before, the world you had over here, the before you started using, they're afraid of you. Family, friends, they all afraid of you because they can't judge you yet. They're afraid to trust you. You're brand new in recovery. They don't trust you. These people over here don't trust you. You're slap dab in the middle and you're lonely. You have nobody. That's why a good support group, a self-help group, a good recovery group, a good counseling group is so important because that gives you contact. It gives you some kind of North Star to point to because all these other people are afraid of you. They don't want you around them until who knows when. You're never going to go back to this world, hopefully. But sadly, a lot of people, they get lonely. And if you are lonely, and we know this with gangs, they've done extensive study on gang related behavior and the psychology of people that enter gangs. People enter gangs not because they're thugs. They enter gangs for sense of belonging. They have no family. They have no support. They've got this group over here that says they want them. They value them. And so they get sucked into that world. It's the same world, right? Same kind of psychology. When you're out there in the middle and you're out of recovery, the most vulnerable part is when you first get out and you realize nobody wants me. And when you get in that position, you realize your family and friends don't want you. Sometimes the only thing you've got is to go back to what you know. You go back to that old world because they're going to take you. You know they're going to take you. So that is the most vulnerable time. That's why it's so important that when you get out, that you get involved in another group where you can get a sense of community. Loneliness is a hell of a thing. It's a horrible thing. And when you get someone that feels that they literally have nobody in their life, you're looking for a person that's probably not going to be around long because they'll find a way to fix that. It's a horrible thing. Lonely is horrible. Tired is bad. You come in from work, you've worked hard all day. What do? Pop a top? Tired. This helps. Takes the edge off. Get you a little something that the doctor prescribed, the missus or the mister, you're taking somebody else's medication. Which, by the way, we're talking about words. If you're taking someone else's medication for a different kind of use, it ceases to become medication. It becomes a drug. You're a druggie. You're not taking medication. If you're taking it for a purpose other than what it's intended for somebody else's use, if you're taking it unprescribed, it's not medication. It stops being medication. So tired is a big deal. Loneliness is, if I had to rank them all, I would put loneliness up there as the one. That's the biggest problem for people. Whether we like it or not, humans are designed to be with people. That's the way we're made up. I believe that's the way God made us. God made us so that we could be with other people, so we could shed our gifts and talents with other people. We were not made for isolation. Isolation will drive you nuts. It absolutely will. So lonely is a big one. If I had to watch, if I had to really caution someone, is loneliness, because some people will feel lonely and then they'll reach out to the first shiny thing that gets their attention. And that could be an unhealthy relationship with another partner, another person, a physical relationship. And people are always confusing physical loneliness with psychological loneliness. I'm not talking about the physical loneliness. That's easy to fix, but it's hollow. It doesn't last long. You feel empty afterwards. That's not the kind of loneliness we're talking about. Although we are humans and that's a part of being human. But that's not the loneliness we're talking about. It's psychological loneliness. It's horrible. The most one, and I'll close on this. The most depressing thing I hear people say when they're in recovery is that I just stay in. I don't contact anybody because I'm afraid. I'm afraid to get out. I'm afraid to be normal. I'll just stay here by myself. God, what a horror, what a hell of a way to live your life. That's why counseling is important. It gets you out. It gets you it gives you a little purpose. It makes you feel normal. Had a lady, several ladies, and Anna's in the thread, and she knows this. One lady, beautiful lady. I mean, her soul was great, and she had been in recovery. Went to our clinic for a few years over in the Williamson area, and she felt the best she ever felt when she finally got the nerve to participate in her child's cheerleading. It was cheerleading or softball, but she had gotten herself in such a position where she felt good about herself, and she was finally able to participate in her daughter's activities. And she even graduated to the level to where this lady was doing concessions. And she told me in group, she said, I could have never done this 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I could have never been behind the counter doing concessions because I would have stole the money. But now she was getting it. She was living a normal life. Wonderful lady, had paid off her house in the recovery at our clinic. And this is just not our clinic, but she had developed the skills to where she had paid off her home. She was getting ready. She was in an abusive relationship. She had got shed of the man, and she was raising her child, and had finally gotten her, and she felt so much better. And it probably one of the better success stories I've seen in our clinic back, years ago. So this loneliness thing is a hell of a thing. And that's the one I would particularly tell people to pay close attention to. So, all right, guys, that was fun. I give everybody a golf clap. If my granddaughter was here, she would say, give me a golf clap. Guys, y'all got any questions? You're in the chat. Any questions in the chat over here? Any questions? All right. No questions at all. All right, guys, if there are no questions, I'm going to take a break. I got to get something else to drink. And guys, remember, I'll be back on the TT channel. TT Wednesdays here, fellas. Wednesdays. My name is Eugene. I am a certified counselor. I'm also an attorney. If life and law collide in your world and you don't know what to do, you ain't got nowhere to go, nobody to talk to, you know what you do, guys? There's two things you can do. You can give me a holler, or you can book a call. Give me a holler, book a call. It's pretty simple.